So over the last 10 days, I've been doing a little experiment on myself, which is along the guidelines that I've been talking about in my book, Watch Your Language. Hence why this video is recorded. So I discovered through COVID, at the start of COVID, I had started to drink red wine, probably about, 2 glasses of wine a night, maybe 5 times a week. I just moved into this beautiful home and it was like a celebration thing. I was like, this feels so good. I'm really enjoying having this glass of wine with dinner and putting on some tunes and dancing. I started dancing like through COVID nearly every day because we were stuck at home and it was just super fun. And I really, really enjoyed it. And then sort of winter hit and whatnot, and we're still with some big restrictions here, definitely not what we've seen around the world. So we are very, very grateful. And then it sort of came into spring and summer, and I didn't really pick up on what I was creating. And of course, in my book, Watch Your Language, what I'm talking about in the book is I'm moving through my story of getting to here. I spent over 25 to nearly 27 years in many eating disorders, from anorexia, bulimia, body dysmorphia. I went through things such as depression, anxiety. I experienced cutting. I took everything I could to numb from the pain and the emotions that I didn't want to feel. And for me, as I do say in my book, I truly believe my eating disorder started at the age of 6 years old when I heard the words, "You're not pretty enough to be in our team." When I heard that, I started to have a belief about myself that I wasn't enough. So from that moment, I started to try to be a perfectionist. I started to people please. I started to judge myself and criticize constantly, with the thought in my head of I'm not enough as I am. And I went through life also feeling not enough with my family, specifically my dad. And it's nothing my dad did, but my dad was a naval architect, very, very smart. And I was the opposite. I was very creative. I was an athlete. I loved to run and move and play, and not much has changed, to be honest. However, I just felt that I didn't fit the criteria needed. And again, that was my own perception. Nothing that my dad did was wrong or anything like that. I just didn't feel I was enough for him. And that just kept cementing in this belief for me. So by the age of 14 or 15, I think it was, I had cemented this belief of not feeling enough for so long, and perfectionism, and constantly trying to do and be better, and to compete. I was a competitive swimmer, very competitive swimmer. And I remember hearing another trigger that I think, sort of right at the time when I was at that very impressionable age of 14 or 15 of, my thighs are skinnier than your thighs. It's really a passable comment. And no malice was meant in that whatsoever. But of course, the state that I was in this perfection, and I was looking for a perfect body then. At that time in our lives, we didn't have social media really to compare to, and thank God for that. I don't know. It'd be a massive struggle, I believe, for anybody with an eating disorder in the world we live in today. But I just took that comment and I just ran with it. I'm like, how can I be better? I'm like, okay, cool. I starved myself. Simple. So I had 2 choices, and I flipped a coin. And again, this is in my book. And because I was so low and I hated myself. I really did. I hated the way I looked. There was nothing wrong with me. I was a beautiful human, but I had just built a belief around not being enough. And I had to look or be a certain way to be popular and to fit in. So I flipped a coin, and that coin flip was heads, decide not to eat and starve myself, or tails, commit suicide. And I don't mean to trigger anybody with this, but if you are triggered, I invite you to really sit with and be gentle with your investigation as to what this brings up for you. But I flipped a coin, and it was obviously heads, and I'm still here. And anyway, that was, it's all, in my book. And this book is not about eating disorders. What this book is about is I had the willpower to choose the thoughts I did, to act the way I did, and to create habits and patterns and addictions around my thoughts, and to continue to practice them for over 25 years. So Watch Your Language is about how we can start to shift those thoughts, words, patterns, habits, and addictions to create a life that is more towards our higher self and our authenticity. To move towards who we are rather than run from it and try and look or be a certain way, or to act a certain way around somebody else and then a different way around somebody else. It is so fucking exhausting by doing that. When we are authentic and we are our true selves, it's easy. But as I said, I spent 25 to 30 years running from all of that, and I was stressed, I was exhausted, I had a mental breakdown at the age of 34 because I had so many thoughts going on in my head. I didn't know what to do. I had no tools. So this this book is about how to change the words we speak to ourselves so that we can start to let go of the old belief patterns that we used to have about ourselves, because I guarantee you they're not true anymore, and then create new ones, which I know is really hard. That's why I'm writing a book. So what I am sharing tonight is I have realized, as I was speaking at the start of this video, that I had created an addiction because I continued to practice drinking 2 glasses of wine 5 nights a week. That meant from having fun and a glass of wine at home, cooking dinner, dancing around the house, to when I went to Byron Bay, I was like, fuck man, I really need a glass of wine. I was like, whoa, hold up. When did that happen? Because I never used to need a glass of wine. And I was like, something is not right. And I because I went on holidays, I had the opportunity to pause. But if I was still going in because I was very busy before I left, and I wasn't able to pick up on the addiction that I created. So when we are quiet, we're able to hear. And I stopped and I was able to notice that I had created an addiction, right? So I'm doing something about it. So every night I'm jumping on my Watch Your Language Facebook page. I'll put the link down in the YouTube bit down the bottom. And you can follow my journey. I'm on to day 10. And I'm already noticing that I'm not wanting to go and buy a bottle of wine from the bottle shop, because I'm coming here and I'm doing videos every night and sharing something from my book, because that's productive. I'm like on 16,000 words. I've definitely got something to talk about and share every single night for the next 40 days. So I thought I'll do that, and I'll see if I can actually break this habit and addiction of wanting to go and get a glass of wine. So here I am. This is what these videos are about. If you want to follow the rest of them, jump onto my Facebook page, Watch Your Language. Or my Instagram page as well, but I'm doing the lives on the Facebook page for the next 30 days. I will be having some margaritas, and some beautiful clients and friends of mine just got me a bottle of Verve. So I am going to be enjoying that on my 40th birthday, which is on New Year's Day. But after that, as I said, I am definitely going to stay off the alcohol for the following 30 days from that, or 27 days or whatever, because I want to prove to myself that I can follow the tools in my own book, like I did to change my words and my thoughts from self-sabotage, body bullying, pulling myself apart, judging myself, criticizing myself, hating my body, literally just tearing it apart. Anybody who has an eating disorder understands what I'm talking about there. 2, learning to, and I fully mean this, I've learned to love myself, and it's only been this year. That's why my book is coming out. I've tried to write my book many times before this, and I haven't been able to. I've fully surrendered to who I am. I accept, I acknowledge, I fully embrace the imperfect human that I am, and I own it. And that is something I never ever thought I would have. I never thought I would have that feeling of freedom, of content, of just being in the isness of what's here and being totally okay with where I'm at. So that, if I can do that, anyone can do that. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to follow the steps that I've got in my book to help me break this addiction with the 2 glasses of wine. And it's working. So if you have a habit that you would like to kick, or an addictive behavior, jump onto my Facebook, and it's just about shifting the attention energy to something else that is more productive and more useful, so that we start to interrupt the pattern, right? we develop a synaptic connection of choosing the glass of wine. And with practice, which is what I was doing, I was making a big cluster of those synaptic connections, so that when I'd come home or drive home, I'd be like, oh, that's what I do, right? So it's hard to change it, but I'm slowly starting to change it, and I'm starting to decrease the grip on the connections that I fired and wired together for nearly 8 months, 9 months, to now start new ones of go, oh, I now got on my phone and I talk. That's all it is. Honestly, I'm not getting any therapy or help or whatever. I am just choosing to send my attention, my energy to something that shifts it from that thought of wanting to go and get a glass of wine. So I hope that helps. So I'll put the details down in the little box below. And I also do have a new yoga flow to upload to you guys, and a movement flow. I just have to do the voiceover. So I'll be coming back on your YouTube every single week. Probably not on the Wednesdays now because I'm up at Alicia Wellness Retreat. But every single week in the new year 2021. So thank you so much for your support, everyone. I so appreciate it. But yeah, jump on my Facebook page if you are interested to follow on with those, or follow me on Instagram as well, which is under Watch Your Language. Have a good one, everyone. Lily is passed out. Take it easy and have a wonderful new year. Enjoy or reminisce on what 2020 has done, and maybe focus on how you've grown rather than, any sense of lack and things like that, and see how you've grown as a person, what you've achieved, and then look forward to this beautiful new year that's coming at us, whatever it may bring. Have a lovely night, everyone.